It's well known that our appearance affects our mental health. The anti-aging industry has tried to capitalize on that for decades. Unfortunately, many of the anti-aging products out there simply fall short. This is why you should try Multicollagen. Multicollagen works to quickly restore youthfulness back into your skin. If you want to look and feel your best, grab your Multicollagen today. Get up to 51% off for the next 24 hours only by going to collageninspired.com or by visiting the link below. Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. Thank you for being here. It's Jean Nolan here, and today I'm going to jump right into a very, very bold prediction. I usually don't do this, but here's a prediction I can back up with 100% certainty, and that is, if you'll continue to do what you have been doing, you'll continue to get what you have been getting. Let me say this again. If you'll continue to do what you have been doing, you'll continue to get what you have been getting. It's as simple as that, or it's going to get worse because of compound interest. You know, the worse it gets, the worse it gets. The better it gets, the better it gets. But what does all that mean, and how do we actually flip this around? And this is basically the key element here. Flip this around. The whole world is turned upside down. Completely. And it's so challenging at times if we only use our eyes, our ears, and our physical senses to decipher it. But let's look at this statement. If you continue to do what you have been doing, you'll continue to get what you have been getting. The truth is that we have been sold the savior complex, which means that from all sides, people are telling us you are powerless and you need a savior outside of you. And this, of course, goes from the politicians that are being sold as the saviors, or, of course, ultimately, Jesus Christ that's being sold as the savior. And before you turn off and say, hey, this is blasphemy, let me explain. This is real strategy that they're using, and so you need real strategy too. And what I'm saying here is that throughout life, people are being taught to not take responsibility for their own actions, to not really be in charge. My dad always used to say that people use God mainly for two things, and that is either to make him responsible for what is happening in their lives, or to, if they want something, to put it off to him and say, I'm not going to do this myself, God's going to do it for me. And this is so oversimplified as to how this whole game of life really works. Now let me get quickly to the story of Jesus and what he actually taught. The way I see it, and from my study, I learned that Jesus taught empowerment. He taught everyone how to find that consciousness within that's always been there. And people say to this day, basically, I'm not really going to do much because Jesus is going to come and he's going to save us. Well, let me ask you something. The last time, to your knowledge, Jesus came, did people realize it was Jesus? Did they realize it was the Son of God? Or what did they do to him? How did that story end? And what makes you think that God, the Almighty, the great Creator, the wonderful source energy of it all, is not continually sending sons and daughters of his into the world to teach people truth, to teach them through empowerment? And what are so many people doing? They're fighting these people because they don't look the way they think they should look, or they don't have the name, or they're born in the wrong country. But where was Jesus born? Jesus wasn't born in Europe, wasn't born in North America. The historical figure Jesus was born in the Middle East, so his skin probably wasn't white, and his language probably wasn't anything that you would understand today. Now, if someone like that approaches you today with wisdom, knowledge, and truth, will you listen? Will you consider that he or she is a son or a daughter of God, the Creator? Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest and face our own ignorance, because only then can we actually change things around. And this is so, so important, because we're caught in this loop where we constantly look outside of us. And we ourselves need to finally find the truth within us. We need to confront our beliefs. We need to confront our dogmas. We need to confront our ignorance and realize that we have already been given everything. And this leads me to the two main reasons why people look to God: for responsibility, or if they want something. Now I'm going to ask you, God has given everything, right? I mean, look around you. Nothing that you use today, nothing that you use to live in or to clothe yourself or to feed yourself, nothing comes from anywhere else but this space around us, this beautiful earth. So we've already been given everything by the Great Father and the Great Mother, Mother Earth. It's all here. So why do we continually ask rather than ask ourselves, how do I unlock what's been locked inside of me? How do I unlock what I've been told I don't even possess? And who benefits from me continually believing that I need outside saviors? And so when people say, oh no, I don't need to do anything, I don't need to prepare, or I don't need to meditate, or I don't need to do any of the things because there's the white hats and there's these people and mass arrests and Gitmo and all these stories. Now, who of you can actually verify that? Who of you can actually verify that there is some good group behind the scenes pulling all the strings, taking all responsibility, not needing you to do anything? This is a hopium belief system that keeps you in a perpetual state of waiting. So you can wait for the pole shift, you can wait for the solar shift, you can wait for all these things, but when in your life has it actually worked that you gave someone else responsibility for your life and they changed it for you and you actually had a positive transformation that was lasting? That does not exist. God gave us free will. God gave us all abilities. If we need helpers, they come into our life. We actually attract that by what we send out, but we need to show up for the work. And why I'm saying this is because this is not just about you. And this leads me to the very, very important question. If you knew that there is a golden age, a really wonderful, beautiful time of love, of unconditional love, of freedom, of joy, of harmony ahead of humanity in this realm, but there's no guarantee that you're going to live to see it, would you still do everything you can so it can come about in all areas of your life, vibrationally, physically, with your actions, decisions, intentions, everything? Would you still do it? Ask yourself this question, because one of the things that was taken out of this Constitution, which was so heavily inspired by the Six Nations Constitution, right? It was so heavily inspired by the Native Constitution, by the American Indian Constitutions. Before us, they heavily inspired the Founding Fathers. We're actually communicating with them, teaching them, and that's how freedom and the whole principle of true freedom even came into the Constitution. But one thing that they took out is the seventh generation. What does that mean? Making decisions and having the seventh generation in mind, which means how is what I'm doing today going to affect the seventh generation after me? 7 full generations, right? So this is like 70, 80 years at least. So you're looking at 400, 500 years looking forward and saying, how is this going to affect those who come after me? Are you willing to make these changes? And make no mistake, we need to make radical changes. And what does radical mean? It means going to the root. It means all the way down. That's radical. That's the real change, real true transformation within, in our belief systems, in what we think we need in this life, and what we think is real, and what we believe to be progress. We've been in a state of regress, not progress, for a very long time. And so it isn't the Great Reset I'm talking about. You know how we feel about this. You know how we feel about these nefarious people that are using some of the concepts to guide us into a evil technocracy, which is the opposite of what I'm talking about here. But the truth is, you need to take responsibility. If you continue doing what you have been doing, you'll continue getting what you have been getting. It's just the way it is. This is a clear law, and you need to change by the way you think, by what you believe, which is deeper than your thoughts. That's what needs to change and be transformed, and it is work. And the reason why it's work is because your body is a computer, basically, that runs a program until you teach it a new program. So it's going to want you to stay just the way you are because it's used to it. It's used to the hormones. It wants those hormones that you have programmed it to release. So you're going to have to put in some work. You're going to have to put in willpower and inspiration, because that's what's going to drive you, knowing that there is something much, much better. But even if it isn't for you, Even if you're not going to be the beneficiary of these changes, your children, grandchildren, or those of children of the people around you will greatly benefit the generations to come. We need to show up for this work and need to realize God has already given us everything we need. That's just the way it is. Everything is already around us. So if you really want to go into a daily prayer, why don't you thank instead of ask? Why don't you show gratitude and appreciation instead of making demands when everything has already been created for us? We just need to sync up with that, with the natural abundance of things. We need to sync up with all of that to create this new reality. This is really important. And what is a new reality? It's really our original culture and how we were meant to live on this earth. It was never meant to be a struggle, a warfare, a constant fight. This is not natural to us. We're just experiencing it because of all the choices we were led to make, believing there's the golden goose at the end of the tunnel, but it never shows up because the golden goose is actually the dark ages. It's an age of darkness. So this is quintessential. Ask yourself, what can you do today your future self will thank you for? What can you do today your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the 7th generation ahead will thank you for? And before you make a choice, ask yourself, is it out of fear or out of love? So when we talk about all the things we talk about, it is out of love, knowing there is this amazing potential right in front of us. And when I say right in front of us, I mean, we think years, but in the grand scheme of things, years are nothing. It's like the blink of an eye. I'm right ahead of us is something that is in our vicinity, so we can come, and even if it's in a new lifetime, in a different body, what does it matter? Let's show up for the work today. Do everything you can to help bring about this beautiful way of living that we know can exist, and it doesn't consist of that much complexity. Look to nature as your inspiration. God gave us everything. This is the message. God gave us everything. Let's sync up with that, align with that, align with each other, keep co-creating out of love, not out of fear. This is it. This is the message. Inspired Tribe, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for being here. Your comments, your likes, your subscriptions. Thank you for joining us on the other platforms like Locals and Rumble. And there's a beautiful unfolding in all directions. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. And we're wishing you a wonderful and inspired rest of your day.